Okay, there's two ways to do inclusions in your bread, and I'm going to show you the stretch and fold one in this video. We're going to start at the beginning of the recipe, and we are going to mix our dough together. And so we're starting, I'm just checking the sourdough starter. It looks great. It's doubled in size. It's nice and thick. So I'm getting my weigh scale all tuned up. We're going to add 150 grams of the bubbly fed starter, and I end up with over 200. You never know what size a blob is going to fall out of that jar. So I need to dig some out and try and get back to somewhere near 150. You don't need to be dead on, but closer is better. Okay, and I think I got to 151, so that's good. Just going to clean off my spoon here a little bit, and we will move on. For the mixture of the water, we are going to add 40 grams of the pickle brine and then 285 grams of warm water. And don't skip this step. This really adds a lot of flavor to the bread. And it's really easy to add the brine. You do want to make sure that it's room temperature. Once I eat all my dill pickles, I do save my brine in the fridge for making things like this. And so just bring it out a couple hours before you're going to start making your dough. And you can also heat it up in the microwave if you want to. I heat up my water in the microwave because it helps the fermentation go faster when you have nice warm water in there. Okay, so you're going to stir these two together until everything is nicely blended. And then we're going to turn the weigh scale back on, and we're going to add our 500 grams of flour and our 10 grams of salt. And then we're going to blend this. Okay, just about up to the 500. And I want to have a little discussion about the moisture at this time, the water. Like I have it measured out to 285 grams of water and 40 grams of the pickling brine. As you start mixing this, you're going to be able to notice if it's too wet or it's too dry. And I stay on the dry side because it's really hard to take water out of one of these recipes. And so you want to give it a good mix, and the object is to trying to get all of the flour wet because you want it to start working, okay? So when you get to this stage and you see that you have a great big pile of dry flour over here in the corner, add a little bit more water. Now, I don't measure that. It was probably 2 tablespoons, somewhere in that neighborhood, but it was just enough to get all that flour damp. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my spoon off, and then I'm going to clean the sides of the bowls, and we're going to cover this and let it sit for 30 minutes before we start doing our stretch and folds. Okay, so normally you do 4 stretch and folds, so you're going to do the first 2 and blend the dough really nicely, and that's 30 minutes apart, so an hour's gone by. This is my 3rd stretch and fold, and I'm adding most of the ingredients, okay, the dill pickles, the cheese, and the fresh dill, and I'm going to wet my hands, and then I'm going to start doing the 3rd set of stretch and pulls, and this is incorporating my inclusions into the dough. And you see that this gets a little bit messy. It also the dough starts to get pretty darn stiff as you're working this through. So just be prepared for that. You might have to get 2 hands in there and really get working on it. And so you're going to do this twice more. You're going to do 2 more stretch and folds, incorporating these inclusions into this bread. And here's the 4th one, and you see it's getting pretty good and stiff. But you can do it. Get in there. Okay, so we have left this overnight to ferment, and now we are ready to start shaping. The dough's not sticking to my fingers. It has a nice dome on the top. It's pulled away from the sides a little bit, so it's definitely ready. You should also be able to see a few bubbles along the top, not a whole bunch. We don't want to over ferment. So I'm just getting a banneton ready. I have put my cloth cover onto it. I'm adding some rice flour, and that ensures that my dough will not stick to my cloth. And we're going to set that aside. I'm going to flour my surface up a little bit, and then I'm going to use my little scraper here and scrape this dough out onto the bench. Okay, so 2 rules of thumbs here. There was a little bit of leftover inclusions when I started this yesterday. When I do this and stretch it out to do my shaping, I can add some more at this point if I want to, but I managed to get quite a bit in there, so I'm simply going to do my shaping. So I'm folding in thirds, and I'm going to turn it and roll it, and then that creates a ball. Give it a bunch of twists, pushing the sides under to get it nice and tight, and then do some pulls towards you, and this adds tension to the bread. Okay, and you might get some pop throughs with your cheese and stuff. Okay, don't worry about it. This is going to crack open when we bake it anyway. There's no way around it. So just get it nice and firm. Okay, and we're going to pop it into the banneton, and we will be baking this tomorrow.